Corvids use intricate techniques or tactics of deception, which resemble some of the tactics that we do.
So they're doing magic with their mates?
They do a slide of beak, if you will.
It used to be an insult to call somebody a bird brain, meaning they didn't have much intelligence. But work here at the Cambridge Animal Behaviour Lab is showing that birds like these, that belong to the crow family, or corvids, are very intelligent indeed. And it's also shining a light on how intelligence itself evolved. Professor Nicola Clayton from Cambridge University is an expert on comparative intelligence. So, Nikki, which came first, the interest in intelligence or the interest in birds?
Oh, the interest in birds.
Really?
I've always wanted to fly like a bird, and I've always wondered what it's like to think like a bird.
What birds are we talking about?
The ones that I specialise in are members of the crow family, the corvids.
Right.
And corvids are extremely intelligent. They're feathered apes when it comes to their cognitive abilities, their ability to think about the here and now, to reminisce about the past.
You were very careful in our briefing for me to make sure I had had a shave, that I didn't have a white beard. And sadly, I do have a white beard with it. And why is that important?
Well, it's the Eurasian jays. Right. They're a bit fussy.
The ones we're going to meet this afternoon?
The ones you'll meet this afternoon. Not all corvids are this fussy, but the Eurasian jays don't like white beards because the white's in the wrong place. The white should be on your bottom.
Oh, right.
Not your chin. It's in the wrong place. Be a bit like, can you imagine talking to me if my face was where you expected my bottom to be? I think you'd be a bit freaked.
It would be a bit difficult, yeah. Eurasian jays, or simply jays, are small, colourful corvids found from Western Europe to Asia and North Africa. PhD student Eli Garcia from Cambridge University's Zoology Department is studying them. In specially designed booths where the birds can come and go freely, he shows them magic tricks.
Here we are.
So this is literally where the magic happens?
Literally, yeah. All right, so if you go in, you'll get a bird's eye view.
Oh, literally, once again, literally.
Yeah, literally. I would say the most interesting part of what we're doing in terms of magic effects is on the comparisons, right? Because remember, what we want to know is whether non-human animals, be that jays, be that chimpanzees, be that whatever, have the same expectations as humans.
Why do you use magic?
Well, magic capitalizes on your expectations, right? If I grab this coin, you have an expectation of what I just done, because that's what normally happens when somebody grabs a coin.
I expect it's in that hand.
You expect that, yes,
yeah.
But that's the beauty of magic, right? It works on surprising your expectations, right?
That's cool. That was cool. That's very cool.
The interesting thing here is, why do humans develop these expectations, and do non-human animals also have them? Do non-human animals think about the world in the same way that we think about the world? Right. Okay, so you see the coin.
Yes.
I grab the coin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I expect that you've grabbed it and it's in that hand.
But like, you stopped seeing the coin very early on in the effect, right? Yeah. Everything that happened in between, you thinking where the coin is, you envisioning, you imagining where the coin is, you did that. I didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I just showed you a coin and then hit it.
And you dropped it in your other hand.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you break these in the cognitive mechanisms that you need, right, the mental mechanisms that you need in order for you to understand these, the first thing that comes to mind is called object permanence. So even if you cannot see, hear, taste, or smell it, the object still exists.
And the evolution of object permanence is vital to a particular survival strategy.
So corvids do something very interesting. They hoard, okay?
Yes.
They are hoarders. They just grab as much food as they can and they save it for later consumption.
Right.
But what they do is that they hide little bits of food in the soil. Yeah. And that's called a cache.
Right.
And the behavior is called caching. The interesting thing is that object permanence, so this ability to actually understand that things, even if hidden, even if not observable, still exist, develops at the same time that they learn to hide things.
And this comes back to what Nikki told us about this morning, because it's also about this idea that they understand there's a future, because they're putting that food away for a time, for the future, when they don't have food.
Yeah,
maybe don't have food.
Yeah. I mean, the theory of memory is that memory evolved with the future in mind, right? We remember things because we might need them in the future.
Oh, that's really interesting. So it's not about the past at all, it's about the future. So that describes evolutionarily why we have memory.
Yeah.
Because we can remember where we put that antelope we caught.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. That's actually the best description, I would say. So we can remember where we put the antelope.
I hate this question, but as science journalists, we sort of feel obliged to ask it. Why do we need to know this? Why do we need to know how brainy birds are?
Well, you might be curious. If you're a bird nerd like me, then it might be very important to know it just out of curiosity. If you're only really interested in how humans think, then you want to know whether other animals think in the same way as humans or not for comparison. So the more distantly related the animals are, the more it tells you about the whole idea of whether you've got convergent evolution happening. In other words, intelligence evolving independently in very distantly related animals, and understanding why that might be.
Oh, so that's really interesting. You're wondering whether intelligence evolved several different times.
Yes.
For different reasons?
For different reasons or for the same reasons. You know, we shared a common ancestor with birds over 300 million years ago, and we have mouths and they have beaks, we have arms and they have wings. There's many other differences, of course. So, of course, there are differences, but looking at the pattern of differences embedded within similarities. So to me, the fact that these corvids, they can imagine the future and think about the past is fascinating.
Using magic as an experimental technique to help answer these questions is particularly relevant for the corvids, because in the wild, as part of hoarding their own food, they use a little magic themselves.
So corvids use these intricate techniques or tactics of deception, which resemble some of the tactics that we do, in order to confuse the onlooker into thinking that they've cached somewhere else. So the onlooker, the pilferer, doesn't steal their cache.
So they're doing magic with their mates.
They do a slide of beak, if you will.
Hi, girlie. There you go. Good work. It's time now for Eli to demonstrate the magic he's been using with the Eurasian jays.
Satsuki. Come on, Satsuki.
The birds have not been working, as Eli calls it, since the beginning of the pandemic, so they're a bit shy. Is that a he or a she?
I'll tell you once I see.
Here she comes. Yeah, she's having a good look at the camera.
Come on.
Come on, baby.
You see, she's not convinced by the idea of... She'll come in, have a warm and then leave again, most likely. But... All right, let's see if she remembers. So I'm just gonna... Babe.
Sadly, Eli is not getting willing assistance today because the birds are out of practice. But he can show us some of the work he's submitted in his recent paper.
So this is the palm effect.
Yeah.
I fake a palm, but they don't care that I faked it.
She gets it.
She gets it, yeah.
But you fooled me.
Yeah,
which
and
is
now I
embarrassing.
do it slowly, and then
Oh, that's so
she gets
beautiful.
it, and then I do a real transfer, and she doesn't get it.
The birds get this trick right about as much as they get it wrong, which tells Eli that the movement does not offer them enough observable cues to make a clear choice. However, a human is fooled by this trick because they expect the worm to move from one hand to the other.
So this is the French drop for you.
This is the one that even though I knew what you were doing,
Yeah, exactly.
I still couldn't see it happen.
That's my hand.
Yeah.
And then I'm grabbing it.
Yeah.
And then the bird is choosing. And you can see he's choosing correctly, so the hand that I started.
So you're not fooling the bird very much.
Not with these two effects, no, because they work because you have an expectation on hand movements.
Right.
Why should a bird have an expectation of hand movements?
Oh, because a bird's got wings.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a relief. I thought I was dumber than a bird.
No, birds got wings. On that point, let's have a look at the magic effect that actually capitalizes on something else, such as your failure to see fast movements.
Right.
You'll see that the bird actually gets totally fooled by these. So
what's this one called?
The fast pass. So
right.
So if I do the fast pass, they see it in the right hand. Then I do the movement, and they still think that it's in the right hand, even though I moved it very quickly.
But they've got better frame rate than I have, though.
Exactly. That's the astonishing thing, right?
Yeah. Despite being able to see more frames per second than humans, the birds still miss the trick because their eyes are on the side of their heads. That means they have the choice of using only one eye, monocular vision, or using both eyes, binocular vision.
So basically, this magic effect capitalizes on the fact that she's switching from monocular vision to binocular vision. And in the switch, in between monocular and binocular, there's a blind spot. So she misses where the magic happens. She cannot see it.
But what does that tell you about intelligence if it's actually about a blind spot?
It tells me about perception, not about intelligence.
Right.
But do bear in mind that intelligence starts at perception because we perceive the world around us and then we think about what we've seen and what we have perceived.
Right, we input the data and we analyse it.
Absolutely.
It's magic. Well, it is magic. Myth and literature, we've got lots of examples of brainy corvids, of intelligent corvids, crows, ravens, rooks. Didn't we already know this stuff?
Well, it depends what you mean by know, right? So we had lots of general artistic knowledge suggesting that this was the case, but we didn't have scientific evidence to support that knowledge.
So what you're doing is you're taking folk knowledge and turning it into scientific knowledge so that we know they're bright, but now we understand why they're bright.
That's right. By developing experiments to test some of these hypotheses or questions and finding out whether the answers to our questions are just assumptions or whether there's actually proper evidence to substantiate those claims.
And these studies also remind us that what we call differences in intelligence are really often just about the different ways we perceive our world. A lesson as relevant for our understanding of ourselves as it is for our understanding of other species.
It's finished. But don't worry, we've got a lot more razor stories for you. All you need to do is like, comment and subscribe and hit the